I want to give a shout out to Josh Alexander. Give me some hope, man, bringing back those white pills in a black-pilled time. Josh Alexander was suspended from St. Joseph Catholic High School in Ontario, Canada, for protesting against transgender people use of bathrooms and for saying God created only two genders. The leadership in the school told him his continued attendance would be detrimental to the physical and mental well-being of transgender students. He tried to come back to class and got arrested for trespassing. Here's a kid who stood up for what he believed in, got arrested for it in an act of nonviolent civil disobedience. That's a bare minimum, you know. I'm not even saying people got to go get arrested for what they believe in. Just speak on it. And we've got a bunch of videos. Check this out. Here's a video of a 16-year-old kid getting arrested because he was speaking his opinion. This is the crazy thing. Speaking his opinion offended the school. They told him not to come back. He showed up. They arrested him. Trespassing. There you go. There's a lot more to this story. So let's take a look at the context here. We have this. Rob Primo says Josh Alexander from Save Canada is sharing a special moment with Christine Anderson. This is Josh Alexander, 16-year-old, arrested. And we can see him here standing up.
You know what, guys? This is exactly what we need. Young people standing up for what they believe in. And you know what? I'm going to hug you right now because you are actually our hope. You are the one that is giving us.
Jordan Peterson was right. Jordan Peterson was completely correct. He said this several years ago, that people would eventually get arrested for refusing to use pronouns. It's actually much crazier than that. Now you've got young females complaining to the school that they don't want to use a bathroom with males. And this kid got arrested because he went to them and said, here's my view on this. Apparently the kids spoke up. Actually, I think I can play the video. You've got this tweet from Josh Alexander, official Josh _A on Twitter. And this is from February 6th when he got arrested. Take a look at this. A student at St. Joseph Catholic High School says he was suspended and later arrested for organizing school protests against biological males in girls' bathrooms. High school student Josh Alexander shares what he said happened when he spoke out to his class. Check this out.
Very quickly, I was informed by female students that male students were using the female washrooms. This is an issue that came up in the class debate, and I used that platform to share my opinions, as every other student had the opportunity to do. And I quoted some scripture. I said that there's only two genders, and apparently because there was transgender students in those classes, that was considered bullying. And I went beyond the classroom and I took it to the office and I said, okay, this is an issue. There's female students that are uncomfortable. Something needs to be done. And I was ignored. A female student made the same complaint I did, and they ignored her as well. So at that point, I decided to organize a protest outside my school. And 2 days before the protest, they suspended me indefinitely. And then they permanently banned me from two of my classes. And when I attended those classes, they suspended me again and then excluded me twice. And at the end of the semester, on the first day of the new semester, I decided to return to school and try to recover my credits and actually get an education. And yeah, they arrested me.
Can I just give a shout out to the bottom line sample text error in whatever this nightly news thing is? It says on the Chiron, student at Catholic school suspended. Bottom line sample text. Very nice.
That is unbelievable. You know, it's important for us to note, though, we did reach out to the school to get their side. However, they actually declined to comment on this matter. That said, we know that your lawyer says, and we mentioned the school is accusing you of bullying transgender students. You know, what do you say to that?
Well, my issue was never with the individual student, and I made that very clear with both on my social media in person and on my media responses. My issue wasn't with the individual student. I have an issue with a system that is going to encourage this form of misbehavior, and I do sympathize with the confused transgender students because they've been wronged by their parents and by society and by the education system that has pushed this indoctrination on them. But at the same time, that doesn't mean I'm going to condone their wrongful behavior, especially when it's violation of my female peers' privacy.
Wow.
Very
bravo. I just want to say bravo to this young man. Doing more than most people. Now, there's a lot of people who speak up, obviously. I'm sure a lot of you do every day. I'm sure a lot of you share videos like this. I'm sure many of you are going to go around and talk about this young man, Josh Alexander, and give him a shout out. Maybe help him out as he's being charged criminally for standing up for what he believes in. But there are too many people who don't. And it is kind of sad that we're relying on a 16-year-old. Where are the men? Where are the strong men? I'll tell you where, my friends. Neutered. Figuratively. But also, I mean, increasingly, literally. And I was thinking about this earlier with stories like this, that, we've got, you've got dogs, you got cats. We've got Mr. Bokus, he's a cat. He had his balls chopped off. That's what we call it. He was a rescue cat. So, of course, they did that. And, you don't really like to be around cats that aren't fixed. I don't know if you've ever been. The male cats, they spray. The female cats, they have their heats and they're really annoying to be around. Dogs also have their issues. But for the most part, what we do to our pets, because we have dominion over them, is that we remove their reproductive organs or disable their ability to reproduce when we are satisfied. Now, if you've got a dog that is a prized animal, well, then you let it keep its reproductive organs. But for the most part, we keep pets that are little eunuchs. Yeah, we sterilize them, neuter, and spay. And I started thinking about what we're doing to our kids right now. And I'm not going to act like it's every single kid in the country, no. But we are seeing people willfully choose to spay and neuter themselves. It's a joke I made on Twitter several times. Spay and neuter your kids to prevent overpopulation. And it reminds me of like The Price is Right. Bob Barker would be like, and don't forget to spay and neuter your pets because there's too many of them. And that was the issue. There's too many dogs and cats running around. We've got too much food. And so they're just making more of themselves, too much. And this is what we're seeing now. In order to facilitate this societal decay, we accommodate people who would infringe upon the rights of others. See, I'm not okay with that, right? My attitude is kind of like, maybe if you want to change the social structure, you need the consent of those in that system. I'll give you a point. There's that famous surfer. Came out right now. She lost her arm to a shark attack. I forget her name. I'm not a surfer, so I apologize. But she came out and said, when they changed the rules and said that biological males can now compete against females, did they ask any of the females? No, they did not. They simply just came out and said, this is the way it is now. Too bad. There is a simple thing y'all can do to change it. Just stop participating in it. And that's what we're seeing from many of these athletes, these female athletes. Create your own league, create your own division. Create the female division, not the women's. Let them have the word. Or don't. You can reject this. The issue that we're seeing is that profound changes are being made to society without the consent of the governed. And you cannot do that. If young females do not want to be in the same space as males when they're, taking care of business, and that is the way the system has always been, then the expectation, in my view, is if you want to change it, you need their consent, okay? You can protest. You can apply pressure. But that just means that there will be an enforcement of the rules because you can't infringe upon other people's rights like this. Now, don't get me wrong. There are interesting questions about civil rights. We have gender segregation, but we got rid of racial segregation. Yeah, I think there's a line. Maybe there will come a time in 100 years and they look back at a video like this and they say, man, that guy had backwards thinking because we changed our minds. But hey, my point is this. If you get the consent of the governed, so be it. Back during the civil rights movement, you had racial segregation and you had white and black people who would defy that in an effort to change those rules, to protest. Nonviolent civil disobedience was the method. Not all of it was nonviolent, don't get me wrong, but most of it was. Now, ultimately, you end up with people being like, hey, I don't want to be in the same bathroom as this kind of person, but hold on there a minute. Listen, you've got a white woman and a black woman. Yeah, that's not the same as men and women. Biological inherent differences across all cultures around the world. When it comes to issues of race, There are obviously genetic differences between people who have shared common ancestries. So you go to Asia, I mentioned this. I went there and I noticed everybody was a little bit shorter than me. I went to Sweden, everybody was taller than me, way taller than me. Yeah, those things are obvious. But you can't just be like all Asian people, all white people, because it doesn't describe anything. You can say white people, we get it, fair complexion, tends to have like lighter colored hair or whatever. But a Swedish person and like an Irish person, like, dude, people in Scandinavia are tall. And then you can go to like, short British people or whatever. It's not the exact same thing. So racial segregation makes literally no sense. Gender segregation, sex-based segregation. Now there's an argument. A female does not want a dude with more muscle mass, more bone density, etc., and different reproductive organs. There's privacy issues. Now, if you want to change that, okay, pass the law, get the consent of the people involved. This is not that. This is the opposite of this. This is the people saying, you never asked us. And the girls are uncomfortable. And then they say, you're under arrest. I'm not all about that. So shout out to this kid, man. Bravo. This kid's doing the right thing. I'll leave it there. We need more people to stand up for what they believe in a non-violent, civil disobedient manner. Because that's what they did. And that's how they won in the civil rights movement. When people want to impose their will on you, you stand like a tree and you say no. Next segment's coming up in a few minutes. Stick around and I'll see you all shortly.